Hello everyone, welcome to a series on environment and the story. Today is about the integrated development of wildlife habitats. So, why it was in news? The Union Cabinet approved the continuance of the integrated development of wildlife habitats. So, it is a centrally sponsored scheme. So, it approved the centrally sponsored scheme of integrated development of wildlife habitats under its the 15th as a part of the 15th finance commission cycle, which is from 2020 to 2025. Okay, so you can mention here, let me write it here. Union Cabinet approved the continuance. Centrally sponsored scheme of, that is integrated development. So when you say centrally sponsored scheme, what does it mean by centrally sponsored scheme? So there will be sharing of funds between, in general, centrally sponsored scheme is sharing of funds between center and states. Okay, so here in this scheme, in the ratio of 60:40. So partial funding by the center, the remaining by the states. So usually centrally sponsored scheme has on own things which are, those companies which are in state list. Okay, usually formed by those things which are in state list. Okay, so but it is implemented by the state itself. This is actually a part of your polity topic, but in general, this is for general awareness. Okay, so with regards to the integrated development of wildlife habitats, it is an umbrella scheme, centrally sponsored umbrella scheme, and it comes under the nodal ministry is the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. And why is it called umbrella scheme is because it includes biodiversity conservation. That's why there are species recovery program. Just to discuss, because it entails biodiversity conservation, habitat restoration, habitat management, then development of wildlife corridors. Okay, so that's why it is it is focusing not just on species conservation but habitat restoration. So habitat development, capacity building. So within capacity building, we can talk about training the resources, raising general awareness, using technical resources, or enhancing, you can say, research and monitoring. When we say technology interventions, we can talk about, like, consider for instance the M stripes, which is with regards to the conservation of tigers. Okay, so that uses technology. I think I did not discuss about it, right? I did not discuss about the conservation efforts specifically with regards to the tiger. I only discussed about Project Tiger. I'll get some time and I'll try to discuss. So just as an example I have mentioned here. So basically all of this are focused under within this particular integrated development of wildlife habitat. So when we talk about the components, species recovery program is a key part of this. Is a key part of this integrated development of wildlife habitats. So when we say species recovery program, they came with different examples like the Project Tiger, Project Elephant, and also, so they basically focus upon the endangered species, saving these endangered species from extinction, And also at the same time, they try to uh, wildlife. They also focus upon wildlife habitats, as I had just mentioned. So within the species recovery program, so far 22 species have been identified under this integrated development of wildlife habitats. So there are basically three components. So as I have just mentioned, the species recovery program. So basically there are three components under this. Okay, that is Project Tiger and Project Elephant. Here I have mentioned it as an example of the species recovery program. So on a broader scale, three components under this integrated development of wildlife habitats is Project Tiger, Project Elephant, and development of wildlife habitat. Okay. So when we say development of wildlife habitat, within this there is Project Dolphin, which started 2020, August 15, 2020 actually. Project Dolphin, and there is Project Lion also. Same, August 15, 2020. So basically this integrated development of wildlife habitat focuses on ensures conservation of ensures protection, you can say, specifically focuses on protection of like national parks, wildlife sanctuaries, then community reserves, conservation reserves. So it basically ensures the conservation protection of these national parks, wildlife sanctuaries, community reserves are conserved. So when we say national parks and wildlife sanctuaries, as I have mentioned earlier, the very difference between them is in the vesting of rights to the people. So within national parks, no rights are allowed to the people; they're strictly prohibited. But there's certain rights given to people in wildlife sanctuaries, that is, firewood collection, livestock grazing, and wildlife sanctuaries are those areas where endangered species are protected from extinction. In their natural habitat. In natural habitat or home range. So within wildlife sanctuaries, even settlement communities are not allowed. Communities are not allowed to settle, but however, still some tribal people communities exist in wildlife sanctuaries, and efforts are being made to relocate them. And both wildlife sanctuaries and national parks are notified through a notification by the state government, and they're granted protection under the Wildlife Protection Act 1972. And this very term of protected areas. So this integrated development of wildlife habitat basically ensures the development of these protected areas. It basically focuses on these protected areas. It also ensures protection of wildlife outside protected areas also. These four comes under protected areas. So this scheme basically focuses on the protection of wildlife within protected areas and also protection of wildlife outside protected areas also. So these particular spaces have to be protected, and along with the wildlife has to be protected, right? So it means the habitats are being protected along with the protection of wildlife, which is a very key objective of this scheme as well. So when we talk about, so these protected areas is basically mentioned in the Wildlife Protection Act 1972. Since I have mentioned about national parks and wildlife sanctuaries, I just want to mention one point, that the Supreme Court in 2022, it directed that mining in national parks and wildlife sanctuaries, national parks and wildlife sanctuaries, you can write it in full form, is not allowed. Not permitted at all, not allowed. So when we say conservation reserves, these are an area of the government, any area of the government which is actually declared by the state government itself, where they ensure the protection of this wildlife, okay, where they ensure the protection or conservation of wildlife. But this area, an area of the government itself, and it is declared by the state government itself, and where the conservation of wildlife is ensured, but this is usually around national parks, in the sense adjacent, you can say it is usually adjacent to national parks, wildlife sanctuaries, okay. And with regards to community reserves, so community reserves is not the area of the government, basically it is any private or community land and where this particular area is utilized by an individual or a community, for the purpose of conservation of wildlife. It is again declared by the state government. So in order to declare this conservation reserves, they have to consult the local community people. And I think that's it. That's it for today. I think I have discussed everything else with regards to integrated development of wildlife habitats. And about the centrally sponsored scheme, it is an umbrella scheme. Why is it an umbrella scheme? Because it includes biodiversity conservation. And I just want to ask you one question, since we have some time. So, this integrated development of wildlife habitats is aligning with sustainable development goals. So you just mentioned that one sustainable development goal. You can mention it in the comments. I mean, to which sustainable development goal this integrated development of wildlife habitats is getting aligned with. Please mention in the comments. Also, how this, if time permits, I'll just let you know how is it related to Convention on Biological Diversity, or you can just mention what is Convention on Biological Diversity in the comment section. But you can mention, but this is first thing you have to mention it for sure. That is, you have to mention one sustainable development goal which this integrated development of wildlife habitats is getting aligned with. And if you're interested, this is for sure, you just mention. It would be happier. But this you may or may not mention, okay? How is it related to Convention on Biological Diversity, or what is Convention on Biological Diversity, which I'll anyhow discuss in detail. So, thank you. Stay tuned for more updates.